the goldsmith did so. Afterwards the girl died, and because of that particular deed of merit, was reborn in the world of devas, and faring on in one good rebirth after another, was reborn in Nalaka in the time of our Bhagava. In course of time she became 12 years old. One day she was sent on an errand by her mother, and went with some money to a certain shop to buy oil. And in the shop a certain householder was digging to get a great quantity of coin and gold, pearls, gems, and jewels which had been buried and left by his father. The shopkeeper saw that because of the fruit of his deeds they appeared as pebbles, little fragments of rock and gravel. Then he made a heap and put them in one place to examine them, saying to himself, through the power of those who are or merit it will become coins, gold, and so forth. Now the girl saw it and said, how is it that kahapanas and jewels are heaped up like this? Surely they ought to be properly put away. The shopkeeper heard this and thought, this girl is of real merit. Because of her, all this had become gold and so on, and will be of value to us. I shall treat her with kindness. And he went to her mother, and when he had asked for her in marriage, saying, give this girl for my son, he gave great riches, celebrated the marriage feast and brought the girl to his own home. Then realizing her virtuous conduct, he opened up his storehouse and said, what do you see here? And when she said, I see a heap of nothing but coins, gold and jewels. And when he said, these were vanishing because of the fruit of our deeds. But because of the excellence of your deeds they have become of worth, therefore from now on in this house you alone are to take charge of everything. We will use only what you allot. From then on people knew her as Savatthi. And at that time the venerable elder monk captain of Dhamma knew that the concomitants of his lifespan had come to an end. Thinking, I shall give wealth to my mother, Rupasari the Brahmin lady, for her support, and shall attain final nibbana, he approached the Bhagava, informed him of his final nibbana, and on the command of the teacher displayed a great marvel. With many thousand praises he praised the Bhagava, and set out on his way, facing straight toward the Bhagava until he passed out of his sight. When he had moved out of sight he once more made obeisance, and left the monastery surrounded by the order of monks. He gave instruction to the order of monks, consoled the venerable elder monk Ananda, made the 4 classes of people turn back, and in due time reached Nalaka, established his mother in the fruit of stream entry, Sotapanna, first stage of spiritual awakening, and at dawn attained final nibbana in the inner room where he had been born. Then both devas and men spent 7 days in paying respect to his body. They made a funeral pyre 100 cubits high with aloe and sandalwood and the like. Savatthi, too, heard of the elder's final nibbana, saying, I will honor him. She had caskets filled with golden flowers and perfumes brought, and wanting to go asked permission of her father-in-law. Though he said to her, you are pregnant and there is a crush of people there. Send your flowers and perfumes and stay here. Yet being full of faith she thought, even though there be danger to my life there, go I will and perform the ceremony of honor. And not taking his advice she went there with her attendants, paid honor with the perfumes and flowers, and stood with her hands clasped before her in an attitude of devotion. And at that time, a rutting elephant belonging to the royal entourage that had come to pay respects to the elder, happened to come to the place. As the people saw it and were fleeing in terror of the fear of death, the crowd trampled and killed Savatthi, who had been knocked down in the crush of people. She had performed the ceremony of honor, and dying with faith in the elder and a mind with bliss, was reborn among the 33. Surveying her own success and reasoning out its cause, she saw that it was the ceremony of honor paid to the elder, and with a mind with bliss in the 3 jewels. Buddhist Trinity, Buddha, Dhamma and Order of Monks. She came with her mansion to revere the teacher, descended from it and stood with her hands clasped before her in an attitude of devotion. And at that time the venerable elder monk Vangisa, who was seated near the Bhagava, spoke thus. I would like, Bhagava, to question this Devata as to the deed which she did. Do so Vangisa, the Bhagava said. Then the venerable elder monk Vangisa spoke, first of all praising her mansion. With a blaze of crystal silver and gold overspread, its sure face of many a color this fair mansion I see, a delightful well-wrought abode complete with archways, strewn with golden sands. And as the sun, thousand-rayed, dispelling darkness in autumn shines in the sky to the 10 direction, so this, your mansion, glows in highest heaven like a blazing smoke crested in the night. It blinds the eyes, as it were, like lightning, ravishing, set in the sky. Resounding with lute, drum and cymbal clap, magnificent as Indra's city is this of yours. Red, white and blue lotuses are here, Khuddhaka, Gandhika and Anahaka, blossoming sala trees and flowering asokas. It is filled with the lovely fragrance of many a superb tree. Bordered with salala, labuja and bujaka, with blossoming creepers overhanging palm trees with jewel-like lotus stalks, O resplendent one, a delightful lotus pool springs up for you. Whatever flowers there are that grown in the water. Whatever the kind of trees that grown on land, whether belonging to human beings or non-human beings or deva like they all grow in your dwelling. Of what self-control and taming of mind is this the resultant? By the fruit of what deed have you arisen here? How was this mansion attained by you? Tell the full story, lady of the thick eyelashes. And how I have attained this mansion. Frequented by flocks of herons, peacocks, and francolin partridges, filled with deva, like ducks and kings of ruddy geese, resounding with birds, of grey geese and cuckoos. Full of many a blossoming tree with outspreading branches, trumpet flowers, rose apple and asoka trees in profusion. How I have attained this mansion, that I will tell you. Listen, reverend sir. In glorious eastern Magadha there was a village called Nalaka, reverend sir. Formerly I was daughter-in-law there. There they knew me a Savatthi. I myself, rejoicing, scattered blossoms there upon him, the great one, who was honoured by devas and men for his righteous dhamma, upon Upatissa, the immeasurable, who had passed out. And after I had honoured him who had gone to the highest place, mighty seer bearing his last body, abandoning my human physical frame, coming to the 30, I here inhabit this place. Vimanavathu. Vimanavathu. Malika's mansion. After the Bhagava, refuge of the world, had fulfilled his Buddha duty from the time of setting in motion the wheel of Dhamma up to the time of instructing the religious wanderer, Subhada. And towards dawn of the full moon night in the month of Visakha. Between a pair of sala trees in Upavatana. The sala grove of the Malla kings in Khuddhaka had passed out completely in the element of Nibbana that has no substrate, and while homage was being paid to his body by devas and men. A laywoman follower of Khuddhaka. Malika of the line of the Malla kings. Wife of Bandhula. With faith. Happily. Washed with scented water her great creeper parure, which was like the parure of the great laywoman follower Visa. Polished it with a pad of fine cloth, and taking an abundance of other things, perfume, garlands and the like, paid homage to the bodily remains of the Bhagava. This is a summary here, but Malika's story occurs at length in the commentary on the Dhammapta. Afterwards Malika died and was reborn among the 33. Because she had so paid homage she had magnificent incomparable deva, bliss, robes, ornaments, mansions, resplendent with the 7 jewels. Having altogether the radiance of purest gold utterly lustrous, made all the directions of the colour of gold, sprinkling them as it were with sprays of gold essence. Now the venerable elder monk Narada, going about among the devas saw her and went near, she greeted him reverently, and stood with her hands clasped before her in an attitude of devotion. He questioned her. Lady of the golden yellow dress and banner, adorned with golden yellow jewelry, with beauteous upper robes of golden yellow, you shine even without ornaments. Who are you who wear bangles and bracelets and are adorned with chaplets of gold, covered with a golden net, wreathed with strings of divers gems? Things wrought of gold and wrought with rubies, wrought with pearls and wrought with beryl, cat-sized jewels and rubies, resplendent with gems clear as pigeon's eye? Here is the lovely cry of the peacock, here of the king of the ruddy geese, and here the cuckoo's sweet cry. Heard is their pleasing song as though the fivefold instrumental music was being played. And your fair chariot shines, handsome, with divers gems ennied, well proportioned in its parts of varied form. You whose forms is like a golden image, who standing in this chariot, shine upon this place, Devata, when asked, tell of what deed this is the fruit. And she answered, a golden net bright with jewels and gold, thick with pearls, covered by a net of gold, I with a mind of bliss, gave as an offering when Gautama, the immeasurable, passed out completely. I, having performed that deed of righteousness praised by the Buddha, rejoice without grief, happy and healthy. And at the time of the council this matter was recited by the venerable elder monk Narada to those who were compiling Dhamma exactly as he and the Devata had then said it, and they added it just as it was to the collections. Vimanavathu. Vimanavathu. Visalakhi's mansion. After the final Nibbana of the Bhagava, when King Ajatasattu had built a great thupa in Rajagaha over his share of the relics and held a festival of honor, a garland marker's daughter named Sunanda, a laywoman follower, an Aryan disciple, a stream entrant, both sent fragrant wreaths to the Chaitya, and on observance days, a Posatha, fortnightly fasting and confession, went herself to offer homage. Dying later she was reborn as an attendant on Saka, and he, entering one day the Siddhalata grove, saw her standing there unaffected by the luminance of all around her. And he asked her for the reason. Who are you, O large-eyed one, in the delightful Siddhalata grove, that you go to and fro leading the throng of women who surround you? When the devas of the 33 enter in this grove with their horses and chariots all their brilliance is diffused. But you who have come here, moving about in the pleasaunce, no diffusion is seen on your body. Why is your form such? Devata, when asked, tell of what deed this is the fruit. Asked by Saka this Devata answered in these verses. That deed of which, Lord of Devas, this forms and destination are mine and prosperity and majesty. Listen to it, bounteous giver. In the delightful Rajagaha I was a laywoman follower named Sunanda. I had faith, with practice of morality, always delighting in liberality. Clothing and food, lodging and light I gave to the upright with a devout mind. On the 14th, 15th and 8th of the bright fortnight and on a special day of the fortnight well connected with the eightfold I observed the observance day always self-controlled by the practice of morality. Refraining from killing of creatures, and restrained from lying speech, from theft and unchastity and the drinking of liquor far removed. Delighting in the 5 rules of training, proficient in the Aryan truths, I was a laywoman follower of Gautama, one with vision, widely famed. And a relation's house I had, from there they always brought me garlands. I offered them all at the Lord's thupa. Going on observance days, I gladly offered garlands, perfumes, ointments with my own hand at the thupa. Because of this deed of mine, Lord of Devas, of offering garlands, are my form and destiny, prosperity and majesty. For that when I was of practice of morality the resultant is yet to come. And my hope is, Lord of Devas, that I should be a once returner. And Saka told this matter to the venerable elder monk Vangisa. And Vangisa, at the time of the council, told it to the great elders who were compiling Dhamma and they added it just as it was to the collection. Vimanavathu. Vimanavathu. Coral Tree Mansion. The Bhagava was staying at Savatthi, in Jetavana. Now a pious lay follower entertained the Bhagava at his house with great honor. Just then a woman gathering kindling wood in dark wood saw an asoka tree in blossom. Gathering sprays she went and spread them around the Bhagava, reverenced him and left. Dying later, she was reborn among the 33, and enjoyed in Nandana grove, together with her dancing nymphs, a festival of the coral tree. Her too the venerable elder monk Maha-Moggallana saw and enquired of her thus. With the flowers or the coral and ebony trees, charming and delightful, binding deva like garlands and singing, you rejoice. While you are dancing with all your limbs in every way, deva like sounds stream forth, delightful to hear. While you are dancing with all you limbs in every way, deva like scents are wafted around, sweet scents, delightful. While you are swaying your body, the sound of the trinkets in your braided hair is heard like the fivefold instrumental music. Eardrops breeze blown, Trembling in the breeze, the sound of the these is heard like the fivefold instrumental music. And the perfume of those sweet-scented, delightful garlands on your head blows in all directions like the manjusaka tree. You breathe that sweet scent, you see unearthly beauty. Devata, when asked, tell of what deed this is the fruit. Then the Devata explained. I offered to the Buddha garlands of asoka flowers, fiery, glowing, of a beautiful scent. I, having done this deed of righteousness praised by the Buddha, rejoice without grief, happy and healthy.